what a difference a year makes, Carli. Can you put your finger on, other than just saying Emma Hayes, Emma Hayes, Emma Hayes, as to what the difference is relative to a year ago when we were all lamenting and the sky was falling with the U.S. team historically bombing out of the World Cup? Now they come back a year later and make amends, if you will. They are back, baby. Gold medalists, the U.S. women's national team. Carli, how did this happen?
Well, I think that, people want to see this U.S. team stay on top and, just constantly dominate. And that's the expectations. But I also think that failure and crashing out of a World Cup is very therapeutic for the program, for the players, for just all of soccer fans around the globe. And, I think that the World Cup was a complete disaster. There was not just one thing that was going wrong within that group. I mean, there was a lot of things. You guys both know, in order to win any championship, you've got to have all of the things there, and you've got to have, a little luck on your side as far as the path. But I think it was a major reset for U.S. soccer to go out and find the best manager that they could. And that meant waiting for Emma to finish up with Chelsea. And then, the players, anytime you have a new coach come in, nobody is safe, and you've got to prove yourself all over again. And I think that it humbled the players, it humbled the program. And, it reminds me a little bit of my experience in 2007 World Cup. We were pegged as, winning that World Cup. We had all of the greats, Abby Wambach, Christine Lilly, still a part of that team, Shannon Box. And it was a complete disaster. We came back after Greg Ryan was fired. We had a new coach, Pia Sundhage, and we went on to win gold in 2008. And it was just a reinvention of our team, the camaraderie and the fight and the hunger and all of those things. But I think that, this was a good thing what happened in 2023. It needed to happen in order for this group to get back on top.
And Carli, you just mentioned that that gold medal in 2008, you beat Brazil 1-0 in that final, and you scored the winner in extra time. You played with some great defenders. It helped you win multiple gold medals and multiple World Cups. Emma Hayes said Naomi Girma is the best defender she's ever seen. Just from a U.S. perspective, where do you think she ranks? Could we make a case that she is the best defender the U.S. has ever produced?
I think that, I think that she's within top three easily. And I think she's the most complete defender that this team has had. She's really good on the ball. She's confident. She's so young, but she's so poised, and her demeanor, doesn't look like anything rattles her. I think it was interesting because they kept talking about the statistics of how many passes that, she had and her pass completion and all of those things. We do have to, understand that, how many of those were penetrative passes. The teams did sit back. A couple teams did sit back on them a little bit. And, the back line had a lot of time with the ball. So you didn't see that as much in the gold medal game against Brazil, but she was still effective as far as, intercepting passes, sliding out and defending and tackling when she needed to do that. But overall, just a really, really good, phenomenal player. And the fact that she's still young and going to develop, says a lot about her, says a lot about the future, in that central defense. But in 2008, we needed our back line. The back line and Hope Solo played a large role in us winning that gold medal game. And, you saw that in this gold medal game as well. The play was okay from the U.S. First half, Brazil was definitely a lot better. Second half, U.S. came out, and did play a bit better. But you saw that back line and Alyssa Nair just... Alyssa Nair too. We got to talk about her. She has reinvented herself, and I think she's entered this space where she can, claim to be an all-time great with what she's been doing lately.
Let's get back to Emma Hayes. I love Emma Hayes. I think it was a wonderful and next to perfect type of hire for this U.S. women's national team. As I said on X a couple days ago, she's not a magician, okay? She's smart and she is clear and she is confident and she did ultimately what needed to be done. She got rid of the players that weren't good enough. She brought in players. You look at Corbin Albert and these types of players. We already mentioned Girma, who was there, to be honest, was a star in the World Cup, one of the few stars that emerged from the World Cup, and she's just continued on and kicked on. And like I said, she brought in better players, and she made those existing players better. Even Alyssa Nair, who is at this point a legendary type of level. But she also benefited from some good timing. Mal Swanson returned, and she has fundamentally changed the way that this team plays. Like you mentioned, a step back in the World Cup and coming in after that historic failure. And like any coach and any team, a pathway through a tournament that at times could have been difficult if you were on the other side or in different groups and all that kind of stuff. So how much credit does Emma Hayes get? And is it as simple as just saying, well, Emma Hayes was the answer? And why couldn't that have been done without Emma Hayes a year ago in the World Cup with Vlatko Antonovsky and company?
Yeah, and I liked your post because it was true. Everything that you said was spot on, was true. I think that it's hard for people to sometimes hear the truth. I think that a lot of people out there don't want to hear the truth, don't want to hear exactly what's going on. But the reality is, there were issues that were happening, are starting to creep in as Vlatko got there. And you talk about timing, Vlatko's timing was really, really tough timing. I mean, we were in the midst of continuing an equal pay lawsuit. So everybody was on edge, Vlatko and U.S. Soccer and you kind of had more of the players spearheading a lot of decisions and all of that. And so if you didn't have a strong enough leader or a strong enough person to come in and really set the tone, it was just going to spiral out of control. And I think that, not all the blame can go on Vlatko. I think that it was just a combination of so many different things, a combination of winning back-to-back World Cups. At the end of the day, you do have to be humbled in some fashion and pushed to continue to want to be successful and want to be dominant. But I think the timing of Emma coming in was the perfect fit. She's the perfect person. This group, when I look at this group and this generation of players, they were needing a different type of coach to come in. You look at the players like myself and the players of the past, our mentality was self-motivated. It was there. You didn't need a coach to tell you to, hey, you got to dig deeper, or the pressure, we were able to deal with that pressure. I think every player was kind of prepared, and the coaches came in and just kind of put the icing on the cake for us. Or now you're seeing this generation and this group of players who have needed to get back to focusing on winning, number one, and have needed the confidence and the calmness and demeanor that Emma has brought and then instilled in them. Because I know when I played for coaches that I could see were nervous, it would put me a little bit on edge. But when you have a coach that comes in, that doesn't have any expectations, didn't even mention playing in, gold medal, didn't even mention about this group being able to do it. She took that pressure off the group and allowed this group to just, really find out more about themselves by digging deep. And she believed in them. And I think that, the belief and kind of what she came in and did, of course, she structurally and tactically changed some things, but let's be honest, in 10 games, like you say, a magician, you're not Pep Guardiola changing, years worth of tactical play. This was more of a mindset, more of a psychological, instilling that she brought to this team is what I took from it. Just the story that she shared about the ultra marathoner and the pain cave and, not listening to everybody talk about the schedule of the Olympics, how tough it is with 2 days in between, the fatigue. I mean, you had everybody talking about, you got to switch up the lineup. You've got to change, rotate players, all of this stuff. Well, there's been plenty of us that have played every single minute in an Olympics, and we've gotten through and we've made it. And she wanted the team to suffer, and she wanted to have this group be able to get through something like that, gut through something like that. And then the build to 2027, I would imagine, is going to be way more tactical, with a lot of different, changes and flair and identity that she's going to be put in. But I think it was just that, players refocused on winning, players hungry, a lot of players humbled, a lot of players, were on the bench for a majority of the year. Crystal Dunn, you look at her, didn't think she was going to start in this Olympics, and then, visited the bench throughout the year, and she had a great tournament. Other players as well. So I just think that, refocus of winning, the confidence and the belief is something that she instilled with this group.
Carli, you've been upfront about the fact that towards the end of your national team career, you didn't always have the same outlook on the world as some of your teammates. So you have an interesting perspective on this Corbin Albert situation. She played great in the final, had the assist for the goal. The U.S. wins the gold medal. Do you think that's it now? Because Alexi has told me many times, the way athletes are wired, if you perform on the field and help me win, all is forgiven. Or is there still going to be a weird vibe surrounding this girl moving forward?
Yeah, I don't know. And that was an interesting move. I mean, we don't know the extent of Rose and if she was, feeling a nagging injury. But for Corbin to step in, she was probably one of the best players on the field that day. And she played a huge role. And that allowed Lindsey Fran to get up into that number 10 position, which I do believe is her best position. And I thought that was just the midfield looked a little bit more cohesive. And then she played that perfectly weighted pass on for Mallory Swanson to score. But ultimately, you silence haters by doing something well on the field and performing. I can't comment on what's been going on within the team, but it certainly looks like the team has embraced her. When she scored her goal, everybody was hugging her and seemed really excited. So I think that, hopefully everybody can just move on. And I would imagine that the group is talked about the issue and talked about what had happened. And I'm sure they're wanting to move past it as well.
Yeah, I mean, let's hope so. Ultimately, she did the job on the field, and she did the job on the field even with all the other stuff that was going on and the crap that she has been getting off the field. And so it says a lot about her mentality as a person and as a player. You like that clip? Well, my State of the Union podcast drops twice a week right here on my very own YouTube page. The only way to stay up to date is to hit that subscribe button down below. Size the day, and see you soon.